If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noah Layden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noah on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me, 5 o'clock. Good morning. It is Monday, December 1st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. A mostly sunny day on the way. The high only going to be 41, though. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 32, and then Tuesday's going to be a mess. It'll be all rain likely here in the city, but it'll be snow if you live in the Hudson Valley and northwestern New Jersey. Could be like 3 to 5 inches of snow. The high tomorrow, 39. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it is 32 and clear in Yorktown Heights up in Westchester County, 33 and clear in Princeton over in New Jersey, and it's 33 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The trip back home has not been easy. 2 kids lose their parents in a New Jersey house fire. We'll tell you why subway emergency doors are opening a little slower now. Pickpockets say concerts the best place to rip off phones. And a local McDonald's says no teens allowed anymore. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. If you're trying to get back home today, it's been rough. A lot of it has to do with weather-related. There was snowstorms out in the Midwest. That has slowed things down. Software issues temporarily grounded a popular plane model in the days after Thanksgiving, so that has slowed things down. So there were 12,000 inbound and outbound flight delays reported across the U.S. That was just yesterday. The tracker showed that about 1,400 flights were canceled yesterday. A lot of them were headed towards or out of the big 3 area airports in New York City.
I've never seen this much snow because we're from Mississippi. So this is our first time seeing this much snow. So that was awesome, but I didn't realize it would cause so many delays.
Yeah, that was a flyer out in Chicago at O'Hare. This powerful snowstorm in the Midwest and Great Lakes over the region initially interrupted air travel for some in the wake of the weekend travel. But as they cleared off that snow, they still had a fair amount of delays. And so people found themselves sitting in those uncomfortable plastic chairs at airports cross country.
We were supposed to land at 9:30 this morning at home. And it's already 2 p.m.
And the next flight they booked us on leaves at 9:45 tonight.
Yeah, sometimes it's worse getting home than it is getting where you want to go for Thanksgiving.
This morning when we woke up to start getting ready, we got a text. Flight's delayed 2 hours. Get over here. And then they're like, oh, you're not going to make your connection in Detroit. So we booked another one. And then they just delayed that one till 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, that's a flyer at Westchester County Airport yesterday.
So we were just very confused on what was going on up there. We were supposed to land 30 minutes, and then we were still in the air. And there was really no communication, so I think everybody just started to panic. Our app said we were landing somewhere else, but we were being told we were landing here, so it was just very confusing.
Now, there were a lot of people who said, wow, it was incredibly easy getting out of the big 3 area airports this weekend and getting back home. Now, there was some moments. Airbus officials say flights are back on track after there was a software glitch that was fixed over the weekend.
The European manufacturer announced Friday it was grounding 6,000 of its A320 jets because of a warning that solar radiation could interfere with onboard flight control computers. France's transport minister said the thousands of software updates went very smoothly. The recall came during one of the busiest travel periods of the year in the U.S. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Airlines say they're going to do their best to get people up in the air and back home this morning. 5:04, let's bring it back home. A mother and her son were killed when a fire tore through their Long Island home yesterday afternoon. This was about 3 o'clock on 50 Acre Road in Smithtown. There were 3 tenants who were renting rooms from an elderly man in this house. The homeowner was taken to the hospital recovering from smoke inhalation. But then what we were told this morning is a tenant believed to be one of the victims did not survive. She's described as a middle-aged woman. The other victim believed to be her young adult son. They were trapped in this house.
By the time I got home here, the whole house was engulfed. I seen them throwing a mattress out the window, so everything burnt. I was talking to them as they were putting the fire out, and they're breaking the back windows and everything. I said, that's the room where, if anybody's in the house still, that's the room.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's where the mother and her young son were. People who rented other rooms in this house say that mom and the young son, well, the mom was living there, maybe just a couple months. The young son apparently was visiting.
She works 12 hours a day. This is a day off. She doesn't leave the room.
She went to work every day, 6:30 in the morning. He would come on Friday and leave on Tuesday usually.
It took about 80 firefighters from several departments about 3 hours to get this thing under control. It wasn't until about 5 o'clock last night till they did. One firefighter suffered minor injury.
I just wish, they said it was fast, but if the fire was downstairs again, she wasn't going out a window or nothing like that.
And surviving residents say the 91-year-old homeowner who rented these rooms smoked cigarettes every day in the living room. So they're, of course, naturally wondering if the fire was a tragic accident started by him. So far, firefighters not giving us the names of those 2 killed or what started this blaze. 5:05, funeral services going to be held later today for a retired deputy New York City fire chief who died on Thanksgiving Day from a 9/11 related illness at 74 years old. James Jimmy Riches spent months after 9/11 assisting with rescue and recovery operations at Ground Zero, was searching for the body of his firefighter son, also named Jimmy. His son's body was finally found, but that was in March of 2002. His third son, Daniel, who is a retired FDNY captain, telling the Daily News this morning that his father suffered from a variety of health issues for the last 25 years. Jimmy Riches spent 30 years with the FDNY until his retirement in 2007. Several people under arrest today after an anti-ICE protest in Lower Manhattan over the weekend.
Protesters chanted and gathered in Chinatown. That's the area where an ICE raid took place back in October. The New York Daily News reports demonstrators near Canal Street blocked a garage entrance where ICE agents had gathered to conduct an immigration crackdown. The agents could not leave and called NYPD for help. Cops arrested protesters who they say were not listening to their warnings to stop blocking the entrance. When the agents did drive out, demonstrators then began throwing garbage at their vehicles, and cops were seen pepper spraying in response. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:09. My kid left the house on Saturday afternoon to meet a friend at the mall. Something the kids don't go to the mall like we did back in our day. But he was headed out to the mall, and then I got a call from him maybe early Saturday evening, and he said they all of a sudden people started running out of the mall for the exits. So I ran out of the mall for the exits too. And this was at Newport Mall.
The Newport Center Mall in Jersey City was evacuated at around 6:30 Saturday night after a suspicious package was found nearby. Shopper Alex DeStefano described the chaos.
People were inside and they were running around and stuff like that. We're scared.
The mall includes an AMC theater, and moviegoers as well were forced to leave their seats. The Jersey City Police Bomb Squad was called in to investigate. They gave the all clear less than an hour later after no danger was found. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
Out to Stockton, California, where police continue to look for a gunman who opened fire, killing 4, injuring 10 others during a child's birthday party on Saturday night. 3 of the 4 killed Saturday night were children. County Attorney Ron Freitas condemned the mass shooting.
Tragedy of this nature is unthinkable, and it absolutely breaks our heart to have the loss of life and to have loss of life to children in our community.
Police believe this was a targeted attack.
When this individual is caught, you have my promise that you will have the full force of my office's resources in holding this individual fully accountable. Let this ring perfectly clear. In this community, in San Joaquin County, violence of this nature has absolutely no place at any time, shape, or form, and children should not be harmed by gun and gang violence.
Now, police have not released the motive for the attack, but they do say it was a targeted attack. They don't know if they're dealing with one gunman or more. 511, West Virginia's governor asking for prayers as one of the state's National Guardsmen fights for his life.
This is a very difficult situation for all the families involved, and quite frankly, for all of the guardsmen who, are in a difficult position right now.
This was a shooting last week. Governor Patrick Morrisey says it was terrible news learning the death of Sarah Beckstrom on Thursday night. Now the state, he says, needs to rally behind U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. The two guardsmen shot Wednesday in D.C., just blocks from the White House.
We had some terrible news last night with Sarah, and all of our prayers right now are focused on lifting her spirit up, but also trying to rally behind Andrew. This is a very difficult situation for all the families involved, and quite frankly, for all of the guardsmen who, are in a difficult position right now.
And Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, she was on the news shows yesterday, says the man accused of shooting those two National Guard members were radicalized here in the U.S.
We do believe it was through connections in his home community and state, and we're going to continue to talk to those who interacted with him, who were his family members.
The alleged gunman, a 29-year-old Afghan national who worked with the CIA during the Afghanistan war and came to the U.S. in 2021. Federal prosecutors say he'll be charged with first-degree murder in the death of Sarah Beckstrom, who died on Wednesday night.
We do know that we're talking to his contacts and going through information, continuing to gather that as we go forward, but we're going to use every tool at our disposal to bring him to justice.
And what we're being told is the Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, he remains hospitalized this morning in critical condition. WABC News Time 5:12. President Trump says the airspace over Venezuela closed due to drug trafficking now.
In a social media post Saturday, President Trump issued a message to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers. Please consider, he writes, the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. In remarks to military personnel on Thanksgiving, the president said the U.S. will take action on land very soon in Venezuela to deter drug traffickers. The U.S. has built up a large military force in the region amid growing tensions, including fighter jets and a Navy aircraft carrier strike group. I'm Scott Carr in Washington.
Senator Markwayne Mullins says President Trump will not send troops to Venezuela amid these tensions between the two nations. The Oklahoma Republican made the comments during an interview with CNN's State of the Union yesterday.
He's made it very clear we're not going to put troops into Venezuela. What we're trying to do is protect our own shores.
He comes, of course, days after President Trump said the U.S. could very soon take that action against alleged Venezuelan drug traffickers on land.
We're not going to allow them to continue to use Venezuela as a terrorist country to ship in tons of drugs into the United States and continue to kill our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and family on the streets of the United States.
And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth responding to a report from the Washington Post claiming that he ordered the killing of all passengers on board an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean.
The Post reported that in an operation targeting a boat back in September, a second strike was ordered to eliminate survivors in accordance with Hegseth's orders. In a post on X, Hegseth called the reporting fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory, and insisted the administration's actions in the Caribbean are lawful under U.S. and international law. He also claimed every person killed in the boat strikes has been affiliated with a designated terrorist organization. Following the report, lawmakers on the Senate Armed Services Committee said the strikes would be investigated. I'm Rob Martier.
In a moment, we'll go down to Florida, where top Trump administration officials spent the weekend trying to hash out a deal between Russia and Ukraine in a bid to end that war. We'll get to that story in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Monday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Monday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start here on the gridiron out at MetLife. Nick Folk lined a 56-yarder through a heavy miss. His time expired. to lead the Jets past the Atlanta Falcons 27-24 yesterday, getting just enough on the football to bounce back from an earlier miss on a 55-yarder. He was mobbed at midfield by his teammates as the Jets fans in a drenched and half-empty MetLife Stadium went wild. Tyrod Taylor went 19-33 for 172 yards and a touchdown pass, and also ran for 44 yards and a score in his second start in a row for the bench Justin Fields, as the Jets, now 3-9, snapped a 2-game skid. Adonai Mitchell had a career-high 8 receptions for 102 yards and his first NFL touchdown, and Breece Hall ran for 68 yards and a score. Up next for the Jets, they'll host their AFC East rival Miami Dolphins next Sunday. Tonight, you get your New York Football Giants at 2 and 10 on Monday Night Football. It's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff, and they are 7-point underdogs on the road in New England against the 10-2 Patriots. So that could turn out to be a walloping, but we'll see. Giants could play the Pats close tonight. And head to college football here. Big news yesterday. LSU's courtship of Lane Kiffin has officially ended as he's leaving Ole Miss to take the job in Baton Rouge and will not coach the Rebels in the college football playoff. He announced both things yesterday afternoon. The culmination of a weeks-long saga that hung over the sport prompted vicious debate and put Kiffin in the unprecedented position of a head coach leaving his team and not coaching it in the college football playoff.
Yeah, so what's that all about? I didn't follow this whole beef.
Yeah, it's a weird deal. He put out on social media in his statement that he told the Rebels at Ole Miss that he wanted to stick around for the rest of the season and see this through into the college football playoff. I believe they're the 7 seed right now, or would be, and basically they got right back to him and said, nah, we're good.
Really?
Yeah, we're good.
So they were going to get rid of him at the end of the season, essentially? Is that it?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I think, to be honest, I haven't been following this super closely over the last few weeks. It's been a lot of the same day in and day out, right? Where's Lane Kiffin going to go? And, you figured it could go on for a while, even if it did carry through into the offseason. But, he made his decision yesterday. So that's a 7-year deal. It's a $12 million annual contract with the potential for bonuses. Yeah, I guess so, right? So
but you gotta know, I want to find out what was going on, though.
I know.
They must just hated each other that he would leave before in the middle of the playoffs.
Now they certainly do.
Yeah.
Now they certainly do. I mean, their video of him leaving Ole Miss yesterday on a private jet, just getting absolutely torn to shreds by Rebel fans outside the tarmac there.
Oh, that's great.
Booing him on his way out. But we'll see what he gets done out in LSU. It's a dirty business, the NCAA. This is the first time I think you're seeing this, specific scenario where you're seeing a head coach leave a college football playoff contender, or one that will end up being in the college football playoff, to go now and join LSU. And I guess Ole Miss decided, if you're going to have one foot in both camps, we might as well just, rip the Band-Aid off. Now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So Lane Kiffin off to Baton Rouge. Head to the Garden. Josh Hart had 20, 12, and 7 assists. Karl Anthony Towns added 22 points and 8 rebounds. And Knicks beat the Raptors 116-94 for their 4th straight victory. Up next for them, they'll host the Boston Celtics tomorrow. The Nets, they're back in action tonight, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. They will welcome in the Charlotte Hornets. On the ice quickly here, the Islanders fell 4-1 to the Capitals. Up next for them, they'll host the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow night. And the Devils, they'll return to action tonight on the ice. That's a 7 p.m. puck drop. They will host the Columbus Blue Jackets. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 520. Joe, you're probably hurting from yesterday's Jets game, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and the Rutgers game on that was
right.
What a brutal game that was.
That was a great game, but a terrible ending.
Brutal loss. Brutal loss.
But you got a great ending yesterday, so
that was great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my voice. Nick hit it from 50 something. That was awesome. Place went crazy for there weren't a lot of people there. But it was crazy.
But all the senior citizens were going, yeah, all right.
Yeah, he's about 93 years old.
I think he's 41, but that's old for football. So, all right, I'll give you 6 minutes to rest up your voice until I have you back. Authorities in Hong Kong now say at least 146 dead after a massive fire swept through a high-rise complex last week. Officials raised the death toll yesterday, noting that about 40 people still missing. Search crews found more bodies in stairwells and on rooftops where residents tried to escape the flames. Nearly a dozen arrests have been reported as Hong Kong's Corruption Commission investigates whether unsafe and flammable materials were used in renovations that helped spread that deadly fire last week. Top Trump administration officials meeting over the weekend with a Ukrainian delegation down in Florida to try to hash out a peace plan with Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio among those negotiating on behalf of the U.S.
This is not just about ending a war. This is about ending a war in a way that creates a mechanism and a way forward that will allow them to be independent and sovereign, never have another war again, and create tremendous prosperity for its people.
Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Middle East Advisor Jared Kushner also part of these meetings, which were taking place in Miami over the weekend. Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu has submitted a request for a pardon from his nation's president, Isaac Herzog. Netanyahu is currently standing trial in his country for bribery, fraud, breach of trust. His request comes after President Trump threw his support behind a pardon for the Israeli Prime Minister. In a letter to Herzog yesterday, the president expressed that he respects the independence of the Israeli justice system and its requirements, but he said the case against Netanyahu is a political unjustified persecution. While we're talking about Israel, Pope Leo saying yesterday that a two-state solution is the only solution that can ensure justice in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The pontiff making the comments yesterday while flying from Turkey to Lebanon for the last part of his first international trip as Pope. Yesterday, on Sunday, he visited the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. He removed his shoes in his sign of respect, but did not appear to pray in his first visit as a leader of the Catholic Church to a Muslim place of worship. The Vatican appeared surprised that Leo had not stopped to pray during the visit, that he had not been welcomed to the mosque by the head of Turkey's state-run religious organization known as the Diyanat as planned. And a politician named, while we're overseas, a politician named Adolf Hitler has won his election in a South African country. Mark Mayfield has more on that story.
Adolf Hitler Winona got 85% of the vote the first time he ran for office in Namibia, and he's set to win re-election this week. He previously told a German newspaper his father had no idea about the Nazi leader's significance. He adds that he has no intention of changing his name. I'm Mark Mayfield.
How's that possible you don't know who Adolf Hitler is? I'm not buying that story. 524, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly pushing back against the Department of War's review into allegations of misconduct against him. During an appearance on CNN's State of the Union yesterday, the senator called it an attempt to silence him.
So more bullying and intimidation, but Dana, I'm not backing down. These guys don't scare me. They're not serious people. I mean the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense. Neither of them.
It's unclear what those claims of misconduct are, but it comes after Kelly and other Democratic lawmakers were featured in a viral video urging service members to refuse unlawful orders. The department said Kelly could be recalled to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures.
But what he is doing is sending a very chilling message across our entire nation, not only in the military, but the civilian workforce. Who's going to speak up and say anything if they see something that's unlawful?
President Trump has called for the lawmakers involved in that video to be punished. WABC News Time 525, White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett says he'd be happy to serve if he's picked as the next chair of the Fed.
Hassett made the comment on Sunday during an interview with Fox and Friends. It comes after Bloomberg News reported he had emerged as a frontrunner for the spot. During a recent interview, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent shared he thinks there's a very good chance that the president will make an announcement before Christmas, but noted that the decision is ultimately up to Trump. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has become a frequent target of President Trump for not lowering interest rates fast enough. I'm Mark Mayfield.
526 crowds hitting stores this holiday shopping season over the weekend as it got underway. We had, of course, Black Friday. Then today is Cyber Monday. Trey Boge is the founder of the consumer site Trute, and he says there are bargains to be had this weekend, over the weekend and into Monday, if you sit tight. And he says maybe sitting tight means waiting past even today to get a good deal.
I'm always of the mindset to take your time, spread it out, don't rush. And so you absolutely can take your time, really. And we will see sales coming and going throughout.
Half of those surveyed say they're buying clothing, accessories, while 43% say they plan to purchase gift cards, 32% shopping for toys.
This looks like a pretty typical year in terms of the categories that will be deeply discounted.
And we found some shoppers say they got their buying done early in the shopping season. I hate those people who, they start like in September.
We did a lot of our shopping in advance to try and avoid the crowd.
Definitely will be trying to get them ahead as far as I can.
Yeah, and today, of course, is a work day for most, but getting back after the holiday, it'll be a shopping day because it is Cyber Monday.
Today is Cyber Monday, and that means internet deals aplenty. But with most of us back to work, workers will take a quick look left and then right, and then hit that computer for a little e-commerce, opening multiple tabs and toggling back and forth as long as the boss isn't looking. A study from Coupon Follow says 60% of us will get our shop on at work and feel zero guilt because it's almost expected. I'm Bree Tennis.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, December 1st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly sunny day on the way. The high 41. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 32, and tomorrow it gets a little complicated. So it'll be a rain event here in the city. A storm's going to come in. It'll be rain here in the city and most of the close surrounding suburbs. But if you're up in the Hudson Valley, parts of northwestern New Jersey, you're likely going to get anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of snow tomorrow. The high is going to be 39. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 32 clear in Yorktown Heights up in Westchester. It's 33 and clear in Princeton over in New Jersey. And it's 33 and clear right outside our Midtown studio. WABC News Time 540. Let's go out to Plainfield, New Jersey, where they are in mourning today. A New Jersey community there devastated by the fact that this blaze ripped through an apartment on West Front Street in Plainfield. This was about 1 a.m. yesterday morning. 2 parents were trapped inside this apartment. Their kids got out. The parents did not, and they passed away.
Yeah, because it's not have any clothes in there, just no shoes, no. At 1 o'clock in the morning, it's freezing. I pull it out my jacket. I give you my jacket to the kids, and asking what happened. Where is your mother? Where is your father?
That was one of the eyewitnesses who saw these kids get out of the apartment. He had no idea who was back inside. They weren't able to get to them. He gave the jacket off his back to those kids.
Total nightmare, inferno, black smoke, and I can't breathe. It's so dangerous.
Yeah, so we don't know the identity of the parents. They have not released it yet. The cause of the fire, that remains under investigation. On Saturday, there was a battle back and forth between anti-ICE demonstrators and ICE agents. This is outside of 209 Center Street in Lower Manhattan. A total of 15 people were arrested. The NYPD says the anti-ICE demonstration started after a social media post alerted people to go to this one area right near Chinatown.
I haven't seen this activity here before. I know it's happened here before, but until yesterday I hadn't seen it. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that was an eyewitness. The demonstration, the latest of an array of protests that have taken place across the nation between federal agents and demonstrators who are fighting against the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration.
There are people everywhere. There are police officers everywhere. And when the cops started, or the ICE people started coming out of the garage, it was really intense. And there was lots of cars, lots of activity. and they were moving really fast. Like if people were in the way, they would have gotten run over.
Protesters at the demonstration over the weekend said they were trying to prevent another large-scale ICE raid, at least 2 of which were conducted on Canal Street just over the past month. When the New York City Council reconvenes in January, we'll have a new speaker and, of course, a new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, to contend with. So how will the relationship change between opposite ends of City Hall once Mamdani takes office in 2026? Well, council member Lincoln Ressler, he's a Democrat that represents the 33rd District in Brooklyn. He was on CBS yesterday, and he says he's optimistic it'll be a smooth transition from the Adams administration to the Mamdani one.
I'm very excited to work with this mayor to help deliver on his affordability agenda, to deliver on safer streets, to deliver on safer communities. It's been a challenge working with Eric Adams and his team, and I'm confident that Zoran's bringing in high-caliber people. It's going to be a much more effective government, a much more honest government.
Now, I should point out, Ressler is somebody who supports Mamdani's agenda. That might be one reason why he's looking forward to working with him. But he also says he thought the Adams administration was not a good one, not easy to get things done with.
Our job as the city council is to provide fair, independent oversight of the mayor. I hope that there's a balance between partnering with him to deliver on his affordability agenda, and also when we disagree or when we think that they're on the wrong track, we'll say so. We'll hold tough hearings, and we'll try to encourage them to do the right thing.
Now, it was last week that Mamdani requested resignations from 179 Adams staffers and announced more than 400 people to help advise in his transition. Of course, he takes the oath of office on New Year's Day. WABC News Time, 5:44. A McDonald's in Queens cracking down now on rowdy teenagers.
Local teens are not loving the new policy from the Mickey D's on Metropolitan Avenue in Forest Hills, banning minors from eating inside unless they are accompanied by an adult. Cops have been called to the McDonald's 15 times this year so far for a number of incidents, including assault and disorderly conduct. The location is just steps away from 3 different public schools. This is not the only McDonald's trying to curb bad behavior from kids. A location in Flatbush began checking IDs at the door after a group of masked minors attacked a security guard at the fast food spot. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
In a moment, we will tell you why emergency exit doors down below in subway stations are opening and closing a whole lot more slowly than they used to. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Here's Justin Eller.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start at MetLife here. NFL Week 13. Nick Folk lined a 56-yarder through a heavy mist as time expired to lead the Jets past the Atlanta Falcons 27-24 yesterday. It's the Jets' 3rd win of the season. They're 3-9 now. Up next for them, they'll host their AFC East rival Miami Dolphins next Sunday. Your 2-10 New York Football Giants back in action tonight for Monday Night Football. They are 7-point underdogs on the road in New England against the 10-2 Patriots. That's an 8:15 p.m. kickoff there. Head to college football. Big news yesterday. LSU's courtship of Lane Kiffin has officially ended as he's leaving Ole Miss to take the job in Baton Rouge and will not coach the Rebels in the college football playoff. He announced both things yesterday afternoon. The culmination of a weeks-long saga that hung over the sport prompted vicious debate and puts Kiffin in the unprecedented position of a head coach leaving his team and not coaching it in the CFP. His deal with LSU is for 7 years and is worth approximately $12 million annually with the potential for bonuses. At the Garden here, Josh Hart had 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. Karl Anthony Towns added 22 points and 8 rebounds, and the Knicks beat the Raptors 116-94 for their 4th straight victory. Up next for the Knicks, they'll host the Boston Celtics tomorrow night. The Nets, they're back in action tonight. They'll host the Charlotte Hornets. That's a 7:30 p.m. tip-off there. And to the ice at Elmont, the Islanders fell 4-1 to the visiting Washington Capitals. Up next for them, they'll host the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow night. And the Devils, they will return to the ice tonight. That's a 7 p.m. puck drop at home for them, and they will host the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 7, WABC.
WABC News Time 5:48. Funeral service is going to be held later today for a retired deputy New York City fire chief who died on Thanksgiving Day from a 9/11 related illness at age 74.
James Jimmy Richards spent months after 9/11 assisting with rescue and recovery operations and searching for the body of his firefighter son. The body of his son, also named Jimmy, was finally found 6 months later. His third son, Daniel, who was a retired FDNY captain, tells the Daily News his father suffered from a variety of health issues. Jimmy Richards spent 30 years with the FDNY until his retirement in 2007. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
Luigi Mangione due back in court today for pivotal hearings about evidence that can be used in his case. Last week, attorneys for Mangione asked a judge to limit how some of the evidence is discussed when the parties convene for a pre-trial hearing to prevent the hearing from turning into a public mini-trial that could prejudice the accused killer. Judge Gregory Caro has set aside several days beginning today to hear arguments over whether certain evidence should be suppressed. Mangione, who has pled not guilty to murdering United Healthcare Chief Executive Brian Thompson, wants to preclude the prosecution from using the contents of a red notebook police say they recovered from his backpack when he was arrested in Altoona, Pennsylvania. WABC News Time 5:50. Maybe you've noticed this, that the emergency exit doors down below at some subway stations are opening and closing a little bit slower than they normally do. The agency says the 15-second delay on these doors is meant to slow what it calls a superhighway of fare evasion, the kind that happens when riders open the emergency gate after paying and others slip in behind them without paying. Usually it's a lot of people. Under the new system, pushing the handle from the inside triggers an alarm that sounds for 15 seconds before the door unlocks. The MTA says the technology is designed for people to stop them entering without paying, not to trap riders trying to exit.
The fare evasion, they're going to do it. They're going to still do it regardless. So what does that stopping what? Nothing.
People who wants to, not pay the fare, they're not going to pay it. They're going to find a way out.
Yeah, and so what riders are then saying is, if the exit door is 15 seconds to unlock, what happens if there's a real emergency? That might be a huge issue.
It takes away the whole point of having an emergency exit.
Maybe a shooter and people are trying to escape. They can't. Anything could happen within those 15 seconds.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem real smart. Fare evasion is down. At least that's what the MTA is telling us since the system was introduced. They're saying that it's working. The program was evaluated, they say, as safe under the New York State Buildings and Fire codes, but try to convince riders of that. You won't have an easy time doing that. 551 members of the New York Gaming Facility Location Board going to meet this morning to vote on awarding new licenses to operate casinos here in the city. The meeting's being held at the Cooney Graduate Center in Midtown starting at 10 o'clock. The state's gaming board is set to vote on awarding up to 3 licenses to 3 potential bidders. This includes Bowie's proposed casino in the Bronx on the former golf course owned by President Trump. Hard Rock's pitch to open a complex next to Citi Fields in Queens, and Resorts World's attempt to expand their facility at the Aqueduct Racetrack. Now, there was a rally yesterday against that proposed casino near Citi Field. There's been other rallies as well. The board meeting is open to the public, starts at 9:30 a.m. this morning. WABC News Time 5:52. Let's go out to Long Island, where a long-time volunteer firefighter who has spent years helping his community is now hoping the community can help save his life. Leo Burke is a Valley Stream firefighter. So he continues to report to duty with the same commitment he always has, even as he battles kidney failure. Burke undergoes dialysis 3 times a week, a routine that he's kept for more than a year. He previously received a kidney from his father. That was 15 years ago, but in an immune system condition now requires him to undergo another transplant. So now he's back on a list at North Shore University Hospital, has been for more than a year as he awaits a new kidney.
I'm very jam-packed and I wouldn't change it for anything. That's why I hope to get back in
proper health so I could be there a lot more, because sometimes I don't feel good all the time.
Yeah, so he is a universal recipient, a rare advantage as he searches for a compatible donor. Burke hopes a match will allow him to return to full health and continue to work that means so much to him as a first responder. 20 phones were swiped from concert goers at the Brooklyn Paramount earlier this month. Not really clear why they're releasing these details now. But what is interesting about this story is that this is the new pickpocketing spree that happens at concerts, apparently. So the Hot Mulligan concert was on as these pickpocketers worked the venue. Police say the victims discovered their phones were missing about 8:30 p.m. while inside this downtown Brooklyn music hall. They had no idea that people had grabbed them from their pockets, and they weren't able to trace them.
It's rough to hear that happened, but I mean, it's kind of something that's sort of expected now for a lot of people that go to concerts a lot these days. Like, I've had it happen to myself personally.
Yeah, the phones were turned off after the theft could not be tracked. No arrests have been made. Some of the victims took to social media to warn others about the fact that their phones had been ripped off as they were trying to enjoy a concert.
You never really know what one person could be capable of.
I just blame the people, and if there's a market for it, they're going to try to do it.
Yeah, so apparently after days of inactivity, they say the phone's locations had moved from Brooklyn to China, which means someone grabbed these phones, handed them somebody, and got on a plane or somehow shipped to China. According to a spokesperson for the NYPD, pickpocket complaints are actually down 11% citywide from last year. But don't ask these folks who went to a concert. A number of concert venues across the city say same thing. It's become ripe with pickpockets. WABC News Time 5:55. Were you one of those people out and about trying to get a bargain this weekend? Mall stores were crowded. Black Friday, Saturday, yesterday, as shoppers, some of them with tight budgets, search for good deals for Christmas.
You want to make sure you have a good holiday for your family, but then here the bills are, so you're like, okay, how do you balance out both?
Yeah, so the National Retail Federation says between Friday and the end of today, because today's Cyber Monday, 187 million will shop for some sort of bargain. And a huge crowd flocked into Macy's and Herald Square over the weekend. And the CEO there, Tony Springs, he wants you to know that there are some good deals at Macy's, like for people who don't have a lot of money.
Hopefully people are feeling like they have an opportunity to invest in gifts this season. And if they're having to be frugal, if they're having to be careful, if they're having to make choices, we've got options.
Yeah, Catherine Cullen, she's the head of the National Retail Federation.
Shoppers, even if they start early, tend to go all season long, even up to the last week of the winter holidays.
Yeah, and of course, again, today is Cyber Monday, more deals to be had. And we're just hearing about it now, but Knicks player Josh Hart was robbed at a Soho hotel a couple of months ago.
Cops say Hart was staying at the Dominic Hotel back in September when he was robbed of about $185,000 worth of watches and jewelry. Apparently, he left those items in a duffel bag, left the room, and returning sometime later, realized they were gone. Somebody gained access to the room and made off with the jewelry. Authorities yet to identify any suspects in that case. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.